Hello, everyone. Come on in, like the video. We're just going to do some hot topics, trending topics. It's being reported that Jimmy might be back, y'all. Jimmy might be back. How do y'all feel about that? Many people have spoke out in regards to Jimmy and how they feel about his comments. Um, um, y'all let me know how y'all feel about the comments that were made. Allow me a few moments to get into my system, to do my disclaimer. Thanks for being here. Thanks for supporting the show. And subscribe. Like, comment, and subscribe. So thanks for being here. I'm going to go ahead and get into my system. And I hope this is not doing this again. Like the videos, y'all come in. All comments are alleged, period. So thanks for tuning in to Let's Talk About It Media 21. Just give me a few seconds to do my disclaimer, and we're going to go ahead and get into hot topics, trending topics. We did a lot of conversations earlier today. All comments are alleged, period. Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, news reporting, teaching, scholarships and research. Fair use is use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. All comments are alleged, in our opinion, and for entertainment purposes only. Thanks for being here, everyone. Come on in. Like the video as you guys come in. First, we're going to talk about Jimmy. It's being reported that he's going to be back. It's going to be reported that he is going to be back. I almost did Jimmy, but then I said, okay, let's keep it at Erika. The picture came out. So let's go ahead and we're going to get straight into the clip in regards to what the news is reporting in regards to Jimmy. So it's going to take a few minutes for people to come in. Like the video as you guys come in. Support the channel by liking the video. Liking the video and hit the like button. Hold on. What a day. Okay. Sorry. It doesn't want to stay today. Nothing wants to stay. It was good earlier. Now it doesn't want to stay. Like the videos you guys come in. We're going to talk Jimmy Kimmel and what's going on. So let's go ahead, get into this video.
Late night show will be back on starting tomorrow. Its return comes less than a week after Disney suspended the show indefinitely following comments Kimmel made.
And did Disney make a change because they were losing subscriptions and the stock went down? So is it that, okay, you're about to lose Jimmy and you're losing subscribers from Disney and Hulu? So let's listen in. Like the videos you guys come in. Thanks for being here and thanks for tuning in to Let's Talk About It Media 21.
On air in response to the shooting death of conservative activist Charlie Kirk. So the Walt Disney Company issued a statement on the decision, writing, quote, "Last Wednesday, we made the decision to suspend production on the show to avoid further inflaming a tense situation at an emotional moment for our country. It is a decision we made because we felt some of the comments were ill-timed and thus insensitive. We have spent the last days having thoughtful conversations with Jimmy, and after those conversations, we reached the decision to return the show on Tuesday." We'll have more on this.
NBC News Chief Justice and National Affairs correspondent Kelly O'Donnell joins me now.
We'll have more on this in just a bit. All right, but let's bring in Peter White, Executive Director of Television at...
I hit the wrong button. Yeah, I'm covering it for real. Because many people, I was listening in as I've been covering the Charlie Kirk and the Erika, the memorial service. I was in the vehicle and I was like, wow, they're saying Jimmy's back. So they might have had to do that because they were losing millions. And it is possibly power of the people. Whenever you mess with subscriptions, you mess with people's money and your stock is going down, you better make a change. And this is the biggest thing. Lawyers that has to approve what he says before he goes online. If there was an issue, they should have cut the feed. But you know what? This is going to show the late night people, you got to be careful. because this could happen to them. Think about it. He has a family to take care of. He has employees. All those people are saying we're cut, and then they were talking about not showing any of his episodes. We get it. We get it. You have to follow the guidelines in regards to a job, but they're feeling that they overstepped the bounds in regards to freedom of speech. We're gonna get to it. Let me let it play.
Executive editor of television at Deadline. Hi, Peter. Boy, a lot going on. We just got this news in the last hour or so. The suspension of Kimmel's show certainly sparked a strong reaction in Hollywood and beyond. Could that have played a role in the decision to bring it back?
Yeah, it's really interesting, isn't it? It's been a wild week for late night television with this Jimmy Kimmel situation. On one hand, yeah, I think there's a lot of people out there who think that Disney was making a folk hero out of Jimmy Kimmel, and what we know for the last few days that they have been in discussions. Those conversations have been taken place for since Thursday. So the fact that they could get this back on the air is great news for some. I think there'll be still some supporters of the president who perhaps would have preferred that he was not on television on Tuesday night. But yeah, we're all going to be watching Tuesday to see what Jimmy Kimmel makes of it.
Yeah, certainly. A lot of the supporters of Kimmel's suspension called it a business decision. The president cited bad ratings. So does the temporary nature of this break put that theory to bed?
Well, we're still doing some reporting on what exactly will happen, how long Jimmy Kimmel plans to stay around late night. Has always been up for debate. He himself has talked about wanting to leave various points over the last few years. But yeah, certainly this is going to be fascinating to see what Jimmy says. Fascinating to see how he reacts, because one of the things, and Disney said it in the statement, that they felt some of those comments were insensitive and ill-timed. They were really pushing for him to apologize. He did not want to apologize. So the words that he says on the monologue on Tuesday night, I think we'll have a few of us poring over them to see what he says.
Oh, absolutely. All ears and paying attention to it. So do we know anything about the monologue tomorrow night?
No, I suspect there will be a group of Jimmy Kimmel Live writers going through it right now, but I wouldn't be surprised if that goes through the top levels of Disney with Bob Iger, the CEO, and Dana Walden, who essentially runs the television operation. I suspect that they will have had some conversation in those meetings about what he might say on that first show back before they put out this statement. So I suspect Disney will know themselves. We don't know that quite yet. Jimmy hasn't said anything yet. I don't know if he's going to speak before the show, but yeah, he's become something of a lightning rod for a much bigger issue. You have a sign there saying protect free speech. I think there's a lot of people, even some on the right. It was really fascinating to hear Senator Ted Cruz's comments a few days ago, where he was saying that this isn't necessarily a good thing because this kind of stuff could happen to people on the right if it does happen. So yeah, he's had some supporters on both sides.
Did this announcement surprise you?
The timing of this announcement surprised me. Yeah, we were led to believe that they were still in conversation, so I gather that they managed to get that over the line. I think we were expecting something either later today or perhaps tomorrow. But yeah, it's the fact that they made this so quickly and that Jimmy will be back on the air on Tuesday, that's a good sign.
Yeah, we'll circle back with you to kind of get your thoughts on his monologue the day after, the night before. All right, Peter White. Peter, thank you. All right.
Like the video, fair use.
About this breaking news, Jimmy Kimmel's top of the hour, live from the White House. We'll bring our friend Dominic Patton from Deadline in on all of this. So the suspension ends up being relatively short. There's a lot of speculation about if Kimmel would come back and then when he would come back. Now it's tomorrow night. From where you sit, Dominic, and covering all of this, what was the calculation, you think, from Disney's point of view?
Several days about this, and they've been trying almost since the day he was suspended on September 17th. They've been looking for a pathway, specifically Disney Entertainment boss Dana Walden and Kimmel and his team. A lot of push and pull about how that's going to happen, what he will and will not be allowed to say on air. But was growing. You saw today, first of all, early this morning, Howard Stern added his name to the people who are canceling their Disney Plus subscription in support of Kimmel. Then you saw over 400 names, some very big stars like Meryl Streep and others, signing a ACLU letter. So this was starting to have a big effect on the very publicity and media-sensitive CEO Bob Iger and others. So clearly they were trying to find a deal. We had heard rumors over the weekend, but nothing came together. Now clearly they have. It's going to be interesting. Tomorrow night looks like.
Any expectation on your end on that front? Like, how do you think Kimmel will handle it on the air?
He's going to handle it like a pro, and I think they've struck a deal, and he's going to go with the deal they struck. But I think you're going to see a lot of nuance. Also be interesting, we don't know yet, who the guests are going to be.
It will. Like, who do you book? Okay, and I think one thing that's I don't think is known yet is will the show be carried by all the affiliates? Because remember, that's how all of this started. Was that Nexstar, which is the nation's parent company, Sinclair, the station owners acted first. It seemed then it was Disney. Do you think it'll be on the air across the country?
Very hard to tell. Neither Nexstar nor Sinclair have said anything yet, but I don't think Disney would have made this decision without talking to them. Clearly, there is a rift there. There's a riff ideologically. There's a riff in terms of markets. You know, the big markets are still owned by stations are owned by ABC Disney directly. So we're going to see where that riff is. But I would be honest. There's a reason. I mean, you've heard me say it before, my friend. They call it show business, not show friends. Clearly, nobody wants to lose money on this.
Right. So how did this all play out then in terms of where the pressure was coming from and how you were talking about this a moment ago? Some of that may have changed, and now the pressure is coming from the other side. I mentioned a few minutes ago these threats of boycotts or the protests and the effect that had.
Well, I think it's a lot of things. I think if you know, we live in a very competitive media market, and I think a lot of that is, you know, some people say there's no such thing as bad publicity. I beg to differ. Clearly, in this example, Bob Iger and the people at Disney, one of the things they value the most is their relationships with talent. Those relationships have clearly become strained over the past couple of days. The support for Kimmel has been widespread. Protests in front of the Disney headquarters in Burbank. I think they were just very sensitive to the optics of this, and I think they were very sensitive to the politics of it.
What's your understanding from reporting on this about his support in the building or in the company? They're very strong?
Well, you know, we reported last week, and as an exclusive, that we called it the descent to Disney in the upper levels. There was a lot of people were disappointed with the decision that was made by Walden and Iger. A lot of people were keeping it to themselves because they didn't want to see retribution or retaliation, but that was clearly something that was occurring, and it was very much the thing that was fueling some of the talks that were happening virtually the next day in Kimmel's lawyer's office.
Yeah, I'm struck by what you said a few minutes ago. I hadn't thought of that right away since it just broke. But, you know, who do you book and what type of show do you put on after something like this? I mean, there's a couple of ways I guess you could go. You could do, which would be, I guess, more out of character, like a more serious show, talk about free speech and all that kind of thing. Or you could say something at the beginning, Dominic, which is probably more likely than do the quote-unquote normal show. Hey, here's what we do, make people laugh type of approach.
Well, I can't tell you, my friend. I mean, I know that I'm getting a ton of text and information about this, so I've got to bolt. But, you know, I think it's going to be interesting to see the way they play it out. I wonder if we're going to see an updated version of the opening that Jimmy Kimmel planned to give last week to talk about the Charlie Kirk scandal that he had found himself in and the fallout and response that he felt MAGA was delivering to that. Of course, we saw the Charlie Kirk memorial yesterday, and that's changed a lot of things. Of course, we saw President Trump come out raging there, too. So, a lot of X factors here, my friend. I got to go.
Have a good one, Dominic. We always appreciate it. Thank you for watching.
Like the video, like the video. There's about 94 people in the building. Please hit the subscribe button. Let's continue. Please hit the subscribe button. Let's continue.
I think it was Jimmy Kimmel himself, if he recognized an opportunity here to walk. Look, there's a lot to unpack here.
Here's that breaking news one more time. Disney has just announced that Jimmy Kimmel will return to television tomorrow. Saying in a statement last Wednesday, we made the decision to suspend production on the show to avoid further inflaming a tense situation at an emotional moment for our country. It is a decision we made because we felt some of the comments were ill-timed and thus insensitive. We have spent the last days having thoughtful conversations with Jimmy, and after those conversations, we reached the decision to return the show on Tuesday. Joining us now, Puck senior correspondent Dylan Byers. Is this a surprise, Dylan?
It's not a surprise that he was going to come back. I think that was what Disney had been telegraphing from the beginning. In many ways, the only person who might have called an end to that, I think, was Jimmy Kimmel himself, if he recognized an opportunity here to walk. Look, there's a lot to unpack here. On the one hand, you know, Disney is still caught, I think, between a rock and a hard place when it comes to, you know, their intention to sort of do the right thing here, frankly, and also satisfy the creative community, satisfy Hollywood. But I don't necessarily foresee pressure from the Trump administration or the FCC going. So how they navigate that, and I think it's going to be really interesting to watch what sort of agreement they came to with Kimmel in terms of what he's going to say on air when he comes back on the show tomorrow night. Because, of course, sort of the original catalyst here for Disney suspending his show, at least in their words, is that they sort of wanted to ratchet down, take down the temperature, cool things off, because, as they say in that statement, it was a very emotionally sensitive moment in the country. Now, Jimmy had some things that he wanted to say. Disney clearly had some things they did not want him to say. Where did they net out here? And what is he going to say in that opening monologue that is going to simultaneously, I think, appease Disney while also making the sort of statement that a guy like Jimmy Kimmel wants to make about this issue?
So Brendan Carr, by the way, was at a forum earlier today in New York City. He defended the Jimmy Kimmel comments. He said Jimmy is in the situation that he's in because of his ratings, not because of anything that's happened at the federal government level. Obviously, that doesn't line up with the sequence of events. The New York Times did a great timeline on how this whole thing unfolded. Jimmy Kimmel made the statements on Monday night. Not much of a reaction to them. Neither was there much of a reaction Tuesday morning. It wasn't until a few accounts that, have the job of clipping late night shows, looking for what they see as liberal bias, clipping them, and then that stuff being amplified by a certain set of highly followed people like Elon Musk. That's when the car got involved, and that's when Sinclair made their decision, and after that is when ABC made its decision. So obviously the pressure is clear on the one side for Bob Iger from the government. What about the pressure on the other side? Who was he hearing from? How loud was it? How big was the demand for him to resolve the Kimmel issue with Kimmel coming back on air?
YouTube Premium is ad-free.
Like the video, fair use reaction clip. Please hit the subscribe button. There's about 131 in the building. Please hit subscribe and thank you. Let's let the commercial go past. Hit subscribe and thank you. 130 in the building. Please hit subscribe and thank you. Let's continue.
Well, look, obviously the blowback was intense, and I think if the intention was to dial down the energy, I think anyone who's lived in this country for the last few days know that that really didn't happen. And there was, a sort of statement signed on by many of the biggest stars in Hollywood. That statement, frankly, was sort of weak. They didn't necessarily threaten any action or said they were going to stop working with Disney. But look, if you're Bob Iger and if you're Disney, you pride yourself on the integrity of your company and on your relationship with that creative community. And I think the blowback was only going to snowball from there, right? And do you see, potentially canceled Disney Plus subscriptions in a material way? Do you see big creators not actually deciding or making a statement that they are not going to work with Disney? I mean, potentially. Back to your point about late night, though, Katie. Like, all things can be true here. It's definitely true that late night television is not a great business. You're not going to book any media executive on your show who's going to come forward and say, "Oh no, there's a bright future for late night." I mean, we are looking at in Jimmy Fallon, Jimmy Kimmel, and Stephen Colbert, whose show, of course, is also not coming back. We're looking at sort of the last generation of marquee late night hosts who are sort of household names in this country, or at least in parts of this country. That business is going away. But none of that negates the timeline that you brought up, which is that this happened because of FCC pressure, because of pressure from Nexstar and Sinclair, which clearly got the message about what Brendan Carr was saying and what it was that he wanted. And then because Disney, which is really stuck in this hard place, a lot of business leaders are trying to figure out how to navigate an administration that is brazenly transactional. Disney made the choice that it did. Now, can this become water under the bridge, right? Can you bring back Jimmy Kimmel and can you patch everything up? Maybe you're still going to have that pressure from the Trump administration, and we're going to see what he says on Tuesday night.
Well, so I'm interested in that angle of it, because I wonder if Bob Iger or other media executives have looked at the landscape and looked at just the unfolding events in the last few days and seen that capitulation or trying to get in good with the administration doesn't necessarily get them the ends that they're looking for. I mean, Donald Trump is still going after John Karl aggressively in the Oval Office or on the White House lawn, calling him a bad person, calling him a bad journalist, saying that he should get fired. I mean, it's not as if the pressure on media organizations or news organizations that are contained within these companies has lessened over the past few days.
No, that's absolutely right. And I'm going to borrow a line that I read somewhere. I'm sorry, you'll have to forgive me. I've been reading and listening to a lot about this, so apologies to the author because I forget where this came from. But if a bully comes for your lunch money and you give him your lunch money, that bully is not going to just go away and not come back the next day asking for more. That's not how that works. And if you look back and you say, okay, what was the first moment in Trump 2.0 when we saw a Hollywood executive or an entertainment executive show signs of capitulation to this administration? And it was Bob Iger. It was that $15 million settlement over the George Stephanopoulos lawsuit from Trump, plus $1 million for legal fees, that sort of set a standard for what the street price was for settling lawsuits that Trump brought against broadcast networks and against entertainment companies. Does anyone looking at the Kimmel situation right now and the pressure from Carr think that he got the monkey off of his back? Obviously, he did not.
No, I think I read that too. I want to say a version of it was Brian Stelter, but I think he was quoting somebody else. And I think there was an F-bomb contained in it that we can't say. We can say it. It's cable, but we're not going to out of, respect for the audience, clearly. Let's bring in a writer for Status, our friend Oliver Darcy, to this conversation. So, Oliver, I know you've been listening in. What else do you want to add?
I mean, I think this is a result of a lot of the backlash that Disney has faced. I don't know if they anticipated this much backlash, but they're obviously getting tremendous pressure from their customers, who are some of them canceling Disney Plus, and particularly from the Hollywood community. And so I think they were really left with no choice. I think at the end, Disney was probably working with Kimmel to desperately get him back on air as soon as possible, given the immense amount of scrutiny that they faced. And I'm not surprised that this happened, but I'm very curious too to see whether some of these local stations continue or take the program tomorrow night. We had seen the right-wing station owner Sinclair say that they wanted Jimmy Kimmel to apologize to Charlie Kirk's family and to also donate to Charlie Kirk's Turning Point USA. I can't imagine that Jimmy Kimmel will do that, but how does Nexstar react if he doesn't? I think that's an open question we're going to figure out. I imagine Disney probably worked it out with them behind the scenes, but I'd be curious how they respond.
Yeah, that is a good point, Dylan. The before ABC made this decision, Sinclair, Nexstar took the show off the air. Is Disney speaking for them as well? Would they have coordinated this behind the scenes before they put him back on air?
Look, I don't know, and obviously the statement just came out recently, but what I would say is that if you are Bob Iger and Dana Walden at Disney, you are probably trying to think a few chess moves ahead. And you don't want to put yourself in a position now where you're going to war against the broadcasters, against Sinclair and against Sinclair and Nexstar, right? That's not a good look either. What you're trying to do here is put out every fire across the board, and that means getting Sinclair and getting Nexstar on board before you put out an announcement like this, which my assumption is that that's where they netted out, but I can't be sure.
Do we know any of the numbers on how many folks were threatening Oliver to unsubscribe from Hulu? I mean, I know there's news articles about it, but what if there are any hard numbers? Would we ever see them?
We never see them, but I mean, Howard Stern went on the air today and said he canceled his Disney Plus subscription as a result of this. And I've seen, obviously, a number of people post screenshots online saying they're canceling. So do we know how many? Is it a significant amount to hurt Disney's bottom line? Probably not. But, when you have someone like Howard Stern saying, I'm canceling and support Jimmy Kimmel, that's a problem for Disney. And I think, usually the way these stories work is if you can see a little bit about of backlash in public-facing view, it's usually like 1,000 times worse behind the scenes. So I imagine Disney's been getting a lot of scrutiny from creatives saying, we want Jimmy Kimmel back on the air, and we don't want to do business with a company that throws someone under the bus for the Trump administration. It's a big problem for them, and so that's why you've seen them rush to get this deal done, I think, and I was thinking they wanted to get it done as soon as possible because this was creating a lot of problems behind the scenes.
Like the video, fair use, reaction clip. Please hit the subscribe button. There's about 150 in the building. Please hit the subscribe button. Continue to hit the like button, you guys. The like should match the views. We got about 150 in the building, 176. Please double tap that screen to hit the like. The like should match the views.
There's something really
fair use reaction clip. Let's get the likes up. Thanks for subscribing if you already hit subscribe. Let's continue. Fair use reaction clip. Are you guys surprised that he has his job back? If they're losing millions and if there's concerns with the stock, many people may not be surprised. So let's continue with what people are talking about.
Ill-timed and thus insensitive. In a major update since ABC's decision to pull Jimmy Kimmel off the air, Dylan Byers of Puck has reported the following from ABC's parent company, Disney. Last Wednesday, we made the decision to suspend production on the show to avoid further inflaming a tense situation at an emotional moment for our country. It is a decision that we made because we felt some of the comments were ill-timed and thus insensitive.
Be kind in the comments. Be kind in the comments. You're here and you're commenting. Be kind in the comments. Or go over to your show and talk your ish. Be kind in the comments. Thank you. Let's continue. Fair use. Please hit the subscribe button. Be kind. Thank you.
We have spent the last few days having thoughtful conversations with Jimmy, and after those conversations, we reached the decision to return the show on Tuesday. For those wondering, this is corporate speak for we have been hit with a deluge of cancellations, and because the only language we communicate in is money, now we understand that our decision to capitulate to Trump was perhaps not in our financial interest. Disney and ABC have been raked over the coals for days for their decision to leave their own talent, Jimmy Kimmel, twisting in the wind in an effort to bow down to Trump and his heavy-handed FCC. A massive decision to boycott the company and its properties took place, including at the hands of
Now these comments then got me a little flustered. Like the videos y'all come in. Like the videos y'all come in. Like the video as y'all come in. Be kind or I'll time you out. I have no problem with people just being general, but I don't do disrespect. In relationships and friendships, I just don't do it. Go to your page, talk over there. But over here, we're respectful. I don't know where y'all come from as far as other pages and what they allow. We respect people over here. So let's continue.
To boycott the company and its properties took place, including at the hands of actors who themselves star in Disney properties. Tatiana Maslany, who's the star of Marvel's She-Hulk Attorney at Law, which aired on Disney Plus, urged people to cancel their subscriptions to Disney services. Damon Lindelof, the creator of Lost and The Leftovers, threatened to stop working with ABC. Rosie O'Donnell called for a boycott of the network. Transparent star Amy Landecker posted an image of the cancellation page from her Disney Plus account. Hundreds of members of the Writers Guild of America and the Screen Actors Guild descended on Disney's headquarters in Burbank, California, to protest the move and show solidarity with Kimmel. And the move wasn't just limited to celebrities. According to Business Insider, the chatter online has also translated to an increase in people Googling instructions on how to do so, even as many conservatives, including Trump, praised the decision to suspend Kimmel. Search volume for cancel Disney Plus reached the on Thursday, according to Google Trends, and continues to be elevated. Terms like boycott Disney Plus and boycott Disney are also listed as breakout searches on Google. Searches for cancel Hulu also soared. Even a bipartisan coalition of politicians and political commentators came out against the move. Tucker Carlson, Rand Paul, Ted Cruz, Andrew Schultz, the guys from the Flagrant podcast, Tim Dillon, Fox News' Kennedy, Glenn Greenwald, all criticized ABC capitulating to Trump and his FCC, all of which makes the decision by ABC to capitulate all the more cowardly. In the statement that was put out by Disney, they claimed that they wanted to, quote, avoid further inflaming a tense situation at an emotional moment for our country. Bullshit. They pulled Jimmy Kimmel off the air because Nexstar Media Group, which is the largest provider of local news in the country and operates ABC affiliate stations in dozens of markets across the U.S., is right now seeking FCC approval for a $6.2 billion merger with a company called Tegna. At the same time, FCC Chair Brendan Carr made it clear that he, like Trump, wanted Jimmy Kimmel off the air and would use the impending merger as leverage. He went on Benny Johnson's show and said this.
But frankly, when we see stuff like this, I mean, look, we can do this the easy way or the hard way. These companies can find ways to change conduct, to take action, frankly, on Kimmel, or, there's going to be additional work for the FCC. Again, there's actions that we can take on licensed broadcasters.
So note in the comments, will you go back to watching Jimmy? Are you still going to cancel your Disney and Hulu? Let me know in the comments. Will you go back to watching Jimmy Kimmel when he returns? Let me know in the comments.
Frankly, I think that it's really sort of past time that a lot of these licensed
Fair use reaction clip.
broadcasters themselves push back on Comcast and Disney and say, listen, we are going to preempt, we're not going to run Kimmel anymore until you straighten this out, because we licensed broadcaster, are running the possibility of fines or license revocations from the FCC if we continue to run content that ends up being a pattern of news distortions.
In other words, like a mob boss, he said exactly what he needed to say, using exactly the kind of language that ABC would understand. And ABC decided that rather than stand by their talent, because their goal is growth and money and shareholder value, no matter the cost, they would take the easy way out and give Trump and Carr exactly what they wanted. That is why they took him off the air. Not because they were worried about the temperature of the country. Jimmy Kimmel is a comedian. His literal job is to make jokes about everything. And let's not engage in revisionist history here and pretend that the joke that he made at the center of the scandal was in any way extreme.
We hit some new lows over the weekend with the MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them and doing everything they can to score political points from it. In between the finger pointing, there was grieving. On Friday, the White House flew the flags at half staff, which got some criticism. But on a human level, you can see how hard the president is taking this.
My condolences on the loss of your friend Charlie Kirk. May I ask, sir, personally, how are you holding up over the last day and a half, sir?
I think very good. And by the way, right there, you see all the trucks? They've just started construction of the new ballroom for the White House, which is something they've been trying to get, as you know, for about 150 years. And it's going to be a beauty. Bone-jarring potholes.
Like the video, like the video. So do you think it's because he talked about... Oh, I can't say what I say to my friends. He talked about him and he talked about the trucks. Or do you think that because he mentioned the alleged person that might have, I have to watch what I say, the alleged person that might have taken him out, do you think he do you think he should have just said, well wishes to the friends and family, my condolences? When there's a passing, you got to be very careful of what you say. We get what he was trying to say, but at the height of everything that was going on, what's going on, let's clock this T. Remember how they were threatening other late nights? Them bringing him back may not make the other late nights so worried, but a lot of the late nights has spoke out. Jimmy, we're here for you. We're supporting you. And don't forget, we showed y'all the video of his team packing up. So now they got to go back and put all that stuff back together. They got to go back and put all that stuff back together. So do you think the joke was inappropriate? Let's continue fair use reaction clip.
And it's going to be a beauty.
Yes. He's at the fourth stage of grief, construction. This is not how an adult grieves the murder of someone he called a friend. This is how a 4-year-old mourns a goldfish.
You mean to tell me that Jimmy Kimmel making fun of Donald Trump when he was asked about Charlie Kirk's killing and used that to launch into a diatribe about his $200 million ballroom is not fertile ground for a comedian? Give me a break. Again, it's bad enough that Disney capitulated to Trump. Let's not sully what little integrity that remains by engaging in revisionist history here. And look, If Kimmel wants to be on ABC, more power to him. I personally think ABC doesn't deserve him and showed their entire ass by revealing how eager and willing they were to bow down to Trump. At the same time, I want to reserve what little grace I can for those who do correct their mistakes.
Heads up, Brian does cuss. Like the video. There's about 143 in the building. Please hit subscribe and thank you. Let's continue with Brian.
Do I think that it was for the right reasons that ABC did this? No. I think that ABC and Disney relented only because they got completely fucked by the boycott.
Like the video. Oh my goodness, Brian. You got to remember when Trump was on the plane, what did he say about comedians? So did he tell on himself? Then they showed people the clip of what he was saying. There's more to come. So did he have an agenda to get rid of people? And now they're saying you can't have an agenda and speak on the agenda. Now we can face lawsuits because of what you're saying about other shows could be canceled because of your feelings. Many people spoke about that. Fair use reaction clip.
Then do nothing about it. And so I think that while this company is cowardly and money hungry and anti-democracy, that this is still the best resolution possible in an overall terrible situation of their own making. To that end, one thing that I think this saga has revealed is that legacy media and the outlets that own those networks are not here in service of protecting our democracy. They are here to serve their own financial interests and that of their shareholders. These institutions only speak one language: money. They are not defenders of free speech. They're not defenders of the First Amendment. They are not defenders of democracy. They are businesses that operate solely in their financial interest. That's it. If ever there was an impetus to support independent media, I hope that this is it. So if you've not yet subscribed to this channel or my pages, which are and always will be completely free, please subscribe now, and please subscribe to other independent media outlets that are doing this work not for money, but for the right reasons, to protect our independence and our free speech rights and our democracy. And for all of those who participated in the boycott, of which I include myself, thank you for using the tools that you have at your disposal to make your voices heard. We have to remember that the dissolution of our democracy is not inevitable, that we have agency and we have a voice, and that the powers of be have to listen to us. If ever there was a reminder of the importance of staying engaged and activated and involved, this is it. Trump and his oligarchs may think that they're all powerful, but this should be a lesson in the fact that the real power here lies with all of us if we're willing to use it.
Wow. Don't forget to go subscribe to Brian Tyler Cohen. He don't play, y'all. He does not play. Like the video as y'all come in. Like the video. Fair use reaction clip.
I am Michelle. And
I appreciate everyone for being here and subscribing. We're about to continue. Fair use reaction clip. Let's go.
Tuesday. Elaborating. Last Wednesday we made...
Did y'all really think we weren't going to talk about Jimmy Kimmel? I mean, have you watched the show over the last 29 seasons?
Jimmy Kimmel's late night show, Jimmy Kimmel Live, is returning to air. On September 22nd, the Walt Disney Company announced in a statement that after having thoughtful conversations with Jimmy, the decision was reached to bring back the show on Tuesday.
I don't watch Jimmy Kimmel. I asked y'all if y'all watch. I don't watch him. So, like who you like. That's on y'all. Let's continue. Fair use reaction clip. Do you think he should have been returning? Do you think that they are bringing him back because they're fearful of a lawsuit because of people are speaking up and because of what the man that's running the country, what he had to say on that plane a few days ago? Was Jimmy kind of targeted? And it didn't really matter what he said. He didn't like it. And then there was a call made, release him, cancel the show. Then he made that statement. They had to rethink it. Possibly. Y'all let me know. We did a video on what was said after Jimmy was fired. So let's continue. Go look up the clips. He's on the plane. He's talking about late night shows, and there's others coming. Let's continue. Fair use reaction clip. Do you think it was freedom of speech or what Jimmy said? Do you think he should have just gave condolences? Let's continue. Fair use reaction clip.
Elaborating. Last Wednesday, we made the decision to suspend production on the show to avoid further inflaming a tense situation at an emotional moment for our country. It is a decision we made because we felt some of the comments were ill-timed and thus insensitive. We have spent the last days having thoughtful conversations.
Hold on, let me rewind a little bit.
Live is returning to air. On September 22nd, the Walt Disney Company announced in a statement that after having thoughtful conversations with Jimmy, the decision was reached to bring back the show on Tuesday. Elaborating. Last Wednesday, we made the decision to suspend production on the show to avoid further inflaming a tense situation at an emotional moment for our country. It is a decision we made because we felt some of the comments were ill-timed and thus insensitive. We have spent the last days having thoughtful conversations.
So do you think they should have cut the clips and not aired it? Because remember, there's a 3-second, 4-second delay. Should the legal team have cut the comments? and not even aired it to protect him? And or should he have not said it? Because remember, there's always a delay now.
With Jimmy, and after those conversations, we reached the decision to return the show on Tuesday. The news comes the same day the co-hosts of The View, which include Whoopi Goldberg, Sarah Hines, Sunny Houston, Anna Navarro, and Alyssa Farah-Griffin, broke their silence on the show being preempted following comments the comedian made about the man accused of shooting Charlie Kirk. ABC had initially announced the previously called indefinite suspension last week, hours after the Federal Communications Commission's chair, Brendan Carr, threatened to, quote, take action against the network and its parent company, Disney, according to NBC News. While many celebrities and other comedians spoke out following the suspension news, viewers noticed that The View, which airs on ABC, did not comment. However, on Monday, Whoopi addressed the audience, explaining their initial silence.
Did y'all really think we weren't going to talk about Jimmy Kimmel? I mean, have you watched the show over the last 29 seasons? So you know, no one silences us. And to all my friends in Italy who reached out, you have to know it's okay. We're still here. We're still broadcasting. And when the news broke last week about Jimmy Kimmel's suspension, we took a breath to see if Jimmy was going to say anything about it first. We did the same thing with Stephen Colbert. Then our show was on tape on Friday. But we are live here today, and we're getting into it now.
The EGOT winner then stressed that the government cannot, quote, apply pressure to force someone to be silenced. She then noted that politicians on both sides of the aisle agree as they played a montage from Republican Senators Rand Paul and Ted Cruz, as well as Democratic Senator Chris Murphy, criticizing the FCC commissioner's comments.
Do you believe that Brendan Carr's comments were appropriate?
Absolutely inappropriate. The government's got no business in it, and the FCC was wrong to weigh in, and I'll fight any attempt by the government to get involved with speech. I will fight.
We are quickly turning into a banana republic. The President of the United States is now employing the full power of the federal government, the FCC, the Department of Justice, in order to punish, lock up, take down off the air all of his political enemies. I think what Brendan Carr has done at the FCC is illegal and unconstitutional.
He says, we can do this the easy way, but we can do this the hard way.
Yeah.
And I got to say, that's right out of Goodfellas. That's right out of a mafioso coming to the bar going, nice bar you have here. It'd be a shame if something happened to it. I like Brendan Carr, but we should not be in this business. We should denounce him.
Sunny, who is an attorney, also spoke about the protections of the First Amendment. Anna then chimed in, sharing how she lived under both a right-wing and left-wing dictatorship in Nicaragua, and censorship is part of their ideologies.
Look, I have to tell you this. I lived through a right-wing dictatorship in Nicaragua, so I lived through a left-wing dictatorship in Nicaragua under Ortega. This is what dictators and authoritarians do. It does not matter the ideology. At first, they come for the people with big platforms. At first, they silence the press, but then they come for all of us because their intent is to scare us into silence and self-censorship. And look at the things that this government has done. They kicked the AP out of the Oval Office for not saying Gulf of America. They cut the funding of NPR and the Corporation for Public Broadcasting. They are demanding reporters sign a pledge that reporters will only report on what the Pentagon wants them to report on. That is not how the First Amendment works.
Alyssa and Sarah also addressed the topic, with Alyssa warning how cracking down on free speech could set a precedent.
What made me a conservative was the idea that in all the systems of government that have existed in human history, as imperfect as ours is, the Constitution gets it pretty damn right. Yeah. The First Amendment is the first for a reason because you need to be able to hold those in power accountable. And what Ted Cruz later says in an interview that I think is an incredibly important point, the pendulum swings in this country. Donald Trump is not going to be in power for 100 years. It may feel that way to a lot of people right now. There will be a time that the left is back in power. And I think the same conservatives who are backing this position, this crackdown on free speech, do not want a left-wing president policing what can be said on TV, how you can criticize your government. So think, if it's not about anything specific someone said, think about the precedent it sets down the road.
Please hit the subscribe button. There's about 122 in the building. Please hit the subscribe button and thank you. If you already hit subscribe, let's continue. Fair use reaction clip.
ABC's decision last week also came after Nexstar Media Group, who was waiting on FCC approval for a $6.2 billion acquisition of Tegna per NBC News, announced that they would preempt the talk show on their ABC affiliates for, quote, the foreseeable future. Sinclair Broadcast Group also chimed in, saying they too are indefinitely preempting the show, adding that they would not lift the suspension until talks with ABC are held, quote, regarding the network's commitment to professionalism and accountability. Sinclair also called on the comedian to issue an apology to the Kirk family and make a donation to both the family and Turning Point USA. Access Hollywood previously reached out to representatives of Kimmel, but did not hear back by time of publishing.
So do you think that he will make a donation? And do you think that he'll apologize? You guys let me know. Will he make an apology? My condolences to the Kirk family and friends. Do you think he'll make a donation? You guys let me know. Like the videos you guys come in. Like the videos you guys come in. Thanks for being here. Like the videos you guys come in. Let me go back. Let's continue. Fair use reaction clip.
President at the top of the hour, live from the White House. We'll bring our friend Dominic Patton from Deadline in on all of this. So the suspension ends up being relatively. So we have a few more minutes to talk about this breaking news. Jimmy Kimmel's return to television before the president at the top of the hour, live from the White House. We'll bring our friend Dominic Patton from Deadline in on all of this. So the suspension ends up being relatively short. There's a lot of speculation about if Kimmel would come back and then when he would come back. Now it's tomorrow night. From where you sit, Dominic, and covering all of this, what was the calculation, you think, from Disney's point of view?
Several days about this, and they've been trying almost since the day he was suspended on September 17th. They've been looking for a pathway, specifically Disney Entertainment boss Dana Walden and Kimmel and his team. A lot of push and pull about how that's going to happen, what he will and will not be allowed to say on air. But clearly the backlash was growing. You saw today, first of all, early this morning, Howard Stern added his name to the people who are canceling their Disney Plus subscription in support of Kimmel. Then you saw over 400 names, some very big stars like Meryl Streep and others signing a ACLU letter. So this was starting to have a big effect on the very publicity and media-sensitive CEO Bob Iger and others. So clearly they were trying to find a deal. We had heard rumors over the weekend, but nothing came together. Now clearly they have. It's going to be interesting to see what tomorrow night looks like.
Any expectation on your end on that front? Like, how do you think Kimmel will handle it on the air?
Well, I think Jimmy's a pro, and he's going to handle it like a pro, and I think they've struck a deal, and he's going to go with the deal they struck. But I think you're going to see a lot of nuance. Also be interesting, we don't know yet, who the guests are going to be.
It will. Like, who do you book? Okay, and I think one thing that's I don't think is known yet is will the show be carried by all the affiliates? Because remember, that's how all of this started. Was that Nexstar, which is the nation's parent company, Sinclair, the station owners acted first, it seemed. Then it was Disney. Do you think it'll be on the air across the country?
Very hard to tell. Neither Nexstar nor Sinclair have said anything yet, but I don't think Disney would have made this decision without talking to them. Clearly, there is a rift there. There's a rift ideologically. There's a rift in terms of markets. The big markets are still owned by stations are owned by ABC Disney directly, so we're going to see where that rift is. But I would be honest. There's a reason, and you've heard me say it before, my friend. They call it show business, not show friends. Clearly, nobody wants to lose money on this.
Right. So how did this all play out then in terms of where the pressure was coming from and how you were talking about this a moment ago? Some of that may have changed. How the pressure is coming from the other side. I mentioned a few minutes ago these threats of boycotts or the protests. What effect that had?
Well, I think it's a lot of things. I think if we live in a very competitive media market, and I think a lot of that is, some people say there's no such thing as bad publicity. I beg to differ. Clearly, in this example, Bob Iger and the people at Disney, one of the things they value the most is their relationships with talent. Those relationships have clearly become strained over the past couple of days. The support for Kimmel has been widespread. Protests in front of the Disney headquarters in Burbank. I think they were just very sensitive to the optics of this, and I think they were very sensitive to the politics of it.
What's your understanding from reporting on this about his support in the building or in the company? They're very strong?
Well, we reported last week, and as an exclusive, that we called it in the upper levels. There was a lot of people were disappointed with the decision that was made by Walden and Iger. A lot of people were keeping it to themselves because they didn't want to see retribution or retaliation, but that was clearly something that was occurring, and it was very much the thing that was fueling some of the talks that were happening virtually the next day in Kimmel's lawyer's office.
Yeah, I'm struck by what you said a few minutes ago. I hadn't thought of that right away since it just broke, but who do you book and what type of show do you put on after something like this? I mean, there's a couple of ways I guess you could go. You could do, which would be, I guess, more out of character, like a more serious show, talk about free speech and all that kind of thing, or you could say something at the beginning, Dominic, which is probably more likely than do the quote-unquote normal show. Hey, here's what we do, make people laugh type of approach.
Well, I can't tell you, my friend. I mean, I know that I'm getting a ton of text and information about this, so I've got to bolt. But, I think it's going to be interesting to see the way they play it out. I wonder if we're going to see an updated version of the opening that Jimmy Kimmel planned to give last week to talk about the Charlie Kirk scandal that he had found himself in and the fallout and response that he felt MAGA was delivering to that. Of course, we saw the Charlie Kirk memorial yesterday, and that's changed a lot of things. Of course, we saw President Trump come out raging there, too. So, a lot of X factors here, my friend. I got to go.
Have a good one, Dominic. We always appreciate it. Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and down.
Like the video, fair use reaction clip. Like the video as y'all come in. Fair use reaction clip. Please don't forget to hit the subscribe button as you come in. Let's continue.
On the same day, tens of thousands of patriotic Americans mourn the loss of Charlie Kirk. CNN chose to give a megaphone to one of the most divisive lawmakers in the country to smear his legacy. Democratic Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett injected race and scolded her colleagues for not opposing a resolution honoring Kirk's legacy, a resolution that passed just last week with 58 Democrats voting against it, 38 voting present.
One of the things I do want to point out that's not been laid out that honestly hurts my heart is when I saw the no votes, there were only 2 Caucasians. For the most part, the only people that voted no were people of color, because the rhetoric that Charlie Kirk continuously put out there was rhetoric that specifically targeted people of color. And so it is unfortunate that even our colleagues could not see how harmful his rhetoric was, specifically to us.
So much wrong with that statement. Well, speaking of divisive rhetoric, Disney has just announced that Jimmy Kimmel will be returning to his show tomorrow night after he falsely claimed that the suspected killer of Charlie Kirk was MAGA. FCC Chair Brendan Carr speaking at an event earlier before the announcement and any government censorship.
Look, again, I think this comes back to where we started, which was a lot of the distortion that's out there. I mean, Jimmy Kimmel is in the situation that he's in because of his ratings, not because of anything that's happened at the federal government level.
Jesse, Jimmy's back.
Well, he shouldn't have been in that position anyway. You can't act like Mad Al when you're being paid to be Johnny Carson. This guy is lying about crimes. He's framing MAGA as assassins. He's supposed to be interviewing celebrities about their movies and telling jokes and dropping televisions out of the second floor window. They're not paying him to do this. He can do this on cable, but this is a late night talk show. You're supposed to be funny and make jokes, and then everybody goes to bed. I understand why he is coming back. He will probably read something that the lawyers wrote for him and act trite for a second. Some of us have been there. And then he will carry on and be the exact same Jimmy Kimmel that we're used to. But how much longer are we going to get Jimmy Kimmel? His deal's up in January. Is Disney going to put up with this guy? He's in second place. He's a headache. He's losing cash. It's a dying format, late night. I just don't see him going on that much longer, and that's fine.
You know what, Tyrus? I mean, this isn't going to change the fact that his ratings were plummeting. We've put those up on the screen before. I'm beginning to wonder, I mean, sinister conspiracy theory here. Like, was this all a ratings ploy to get everyone to watch him again?
No, I think this is great for, what would you rather be canceled? Sucking at your job, or the being president took your job away? So for them, he's getting to come back. So you got to take the president out of it now, because now he's back. So there should be a huge rating spike. Everyone should be excited. And Jesse, you're wrong. You typically finishes third. And it's Colbert.
No, I wasn't counting Greg.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, I'm talking networks. Networks, right.
Okay. But just
them,
to be fair.
He's not even on the network.
I just want to say, to be fair.
Thanks to you.
Yeah, Anchor, if there ever was one. But it's not about me right now. But the point is, like, of course he's not going to change because he didn't have a reason to change. His whole thing was the best thing for him was to stay gone because he would have been able to say for the rest of his days that the evil Trump MAGA got me. And then all his pundits would come out and say, free speech is being taken away. Now, like, nope, here's your ball back. You got a slap on the wrist. Act right. So then the next time he gets canceled, and it probably will be before January, it's going to be about the ratings. And you won't be able to blame the president. I'm glad this happened. You won't be able to blame the FCC. You'll be able to blame Jimmy Kimmel for not being funny.
Dana, returning to Jasmine Crockett for a moment, because we can't let that go unaddressed. She said only 2 Caucasians voted against this resolution. No one should have voted against this resolution. And I have here the text of it, condemning the assassin, commending law enforcement, extending condolences. I mean, Mike Johnson mentioned he intentionally kept this tight so that everyone could agree and come together, but she could not.
Well, I mean, we could go through and count how many people on the left would vote to censure Ilhan Omar. I mean, if we want, we can keep score. We can do that. I would counter her.
So will he get re-signed, new contract, or will he retire with a retirement package versus alleged, we don't know, versus alleged suing them? And they say they'd rather bring him back, maybe no contract, we don't know. But now maybe he gets his retirement plan and maybe his shows will still run. That'll still give him money as he's older. Who knows? But we'll find out though. Like the video, Don't forget to hit subscribe.
With this, obviously I am not a black man. But this morning on America's Newsroom, I interviewed 2 young men. One works as a Talking Points USA, Turning Point USA contributor, and the other is at Campus Reform. Both young black men who said that Turning Point USA gave them an opportunity to do what they wanted to do on campus, but it was Charlie who gave them the inspiration and the confidence to do it. So Talking Point, golly, what's wrong with me? I am back from vacation. Turning Point said, okay, here's the venue. Here's the organizational skills. Here's what you need to know in order to put on an event. But it was Charlie himself who said, I'll show you the way and how to articulate with ideas. And they took it very, very seriously. So I think that those 2 young black men I interviewed today who are heartbroken, that they would take a lot of issue with what she had to say.
Well, yeah. I think I'm sorry, real quick. The reason why you keep saying talking points is because that's all she making talking points. And what bothers me about the media, they never say how so or examples of. Because that's a pretty strong statement to make about somebody, but they never seem to have an actual factual situation of Charlie saying any of these things. They'll take a certain thing here. He'll call it out. He keeps it real, and sometimes keeping it real isn't comfortable.
It's like right before I left when the New York Times took that something that he said and that he was quoting someone else, but the New York Times just clipped it and made it look like he was anti-Semitic. It was crazy, and then they had to correct. Of course, the correction is this big,
The headline was this.
Gets no attention. Yeah. You know, Harold, the vote to condemn the Minnesota killings of the Democratic local lawmakers was 424-0. Every Republican voted to condemn that. Why could 55% of the Democratic caucus not vote to condemn the assassination of Charlie Kirk?
I don't know. They should have voted that way. I said at the outset, I'm surprised for you. You laid out a great example of the way I read the resolution. You laid out the example of the Minnesota lawmakers. This was an assassination because the guy was speaking his mind and speaking his political views. There's no place for that in our society. There's no place for that in America. There's no place for that in our political tradition. And I just hope that we never ever have another vote like this in the Congress. But if there is, I hope that people can rise above whatever the difference may be. I didn't agree with Charlie on a lot of things. There were things that he said that I found disagreeable. What I found most remarkable about him is that he was willing to debate.
There's something really beautiful in knowing.
Let's continue. Let's go ahead and get into hot topics, trending topics. Okay, so Jimmy will return. If you did not know, Elon Musk was at the memorial service for Charlie Kirk yesterday. There was many people there, Elon Musk being one of them. He did shake hands with who is president. Many people are talking about this in regards to Erika and Trump, in regards to the support, the hand. Some are saying the symbol is showing love. Some are saying other things. You guys let me know. Should she have did the heart with her two hands and she went with that symbol because she was holding on to who is the president? No, I don't say his name. I try not to. But yeah, you guys let me know how you feel about how you feel about her speech, how you feel about her losing her husband. Should there have been more protection around him, near him, by him, protective gear, protective equipment? If he was getting all these concerning comments from people, should there have been more protections for him? Not just security. You guys let me know how you feel about that. We're going to continue with hot topics, trending topics. Right now, right now, look at her eyes. Let me go.
That man, that young man, I forgive him. I forgive him because it was what Christ did and is what Charlie would do. That man.
Watch her face.
That young man.
At first, she is almost like she had to think about it.
I forgive him.
That's sad that a wife has to her husband. That's sad. The children have lost their father.
I forgive him because it was what Christ did and is what Charlie would do. That man.
Woo!
That young man.
Woo!
That man.
Woo! Okay, so we just recently talked about he's back. So let me know in the comments how y'all feel about him being back. Of course, the alleged legal team is going to write a statement. Do you think his statement will be very short? The guest that he might have, do you think it'll be the guest that was supposed to come on a few days that he was gone? Remember, I think he was supposed to have, what's her name? She was in full makeup. I'm trying to think of her name. So he might combine the guests maybe. And I don't know. Yeah. So we'll definitely see if he's going to get another contract or will he retire.
Someone once asked me how Charlie and I, how we kept our marriage so strong when he was busy traveling. And our little secret, it was love notes. Every Saturday, Charlie wrote one for me, and he never missed a Saturday. And in every single one of them, he'd tell me what his highlight was for the week, how grateful he was for me and our babies. And always at the end, he would always end it with asking the most beautiful question. He'd always end it by asking, please let me know how I can better serve you as a husband. Someone once asked me how Charlie and how we kept our marriage so strong when he was busy traveling. And our little secret, it was love notes. Every Saturday, Charlie wrote one for me, and he never missed a Saturday. And in every single one of them, he'd tell me what his highlight was for the week, how grateful he was for me and our babies. And always at the end, he would always end it with asking the most beautiful question. He'd always end it by asking, please let me know how I can better serve you as a husband. Someone once asked me how Charlie and someone once asked me.
So that's nice that he used to write her messages on the weekends. And then if you guys did not know, it's being reported that a lot of time on the weekends, he would cut his phone off on Saturdays until like Sunday morning or something. So he would spend quality time with his wife and children. So I'm sure she's going to miss her husband. Many people feel different ways about the tears. Seems like she's crying to me. I saw wet spots, but let's continue. Condolences. The View is talking about Jimmy. We just played that.
He wanted to save young men, just like the one who took his life. Young man. On the cross, our Savior said, Father, forgive them, for they not know what they do. That man, that young man, I forgive him.
Could y'all forgive? Let me know in the comments.
Forgive him because it was what Christ did, what Charlie would do. The answer to hate is not hate. The answer we know from the gospel is love, and always love. Love for our enemies and love for those who persecute us.
Let me know. Could y'all forgive?
My husband, Charlie. He wanted to save young men, just like the one who took his life. young man. On the cross, our Savior said, Father, forgive them, for they not know what they do. That man, that young man, I forgive him.
Did Charlie Kirk's family speak? Brother, sister, mother?
I forgive him because it was what Christ did and is what Charlie would do. The answer to hate is not hate. The answer we know from the gospel is love, and always love. Love for our enemies and love for those who persecute us. My husband, Charlie. My husband.
So prayers go out to Erika Kirk. Real talk. Losing a family member, a spouse, the father of your children, when you are with that person every day, even though he traveled, still, there's a wife that lost her husband. There's children that will grow up without a dad. When they get married, graduation, dances, father-daughter dance. You know what I mean? So prayers and condolences to the family. Okay, so there's stuff that's going on.
Yeah, virtually. I heard none. She probably wants to be very careful with what he says, and he should, but I'm not so careful with what I say. But you have certain groups, the Amish as an example, they have essentially no autism. First, effective immediately, the FDA will be notifying physicians that the use of
all comments are alleged. Alleged.
Acetaminophen. Is that okay? Which is basically commonly known as Tylenol during pregnancy, can be associated with a very increased risk of autism.
Allegedly.
So taking Tylenol is not good. All right, I'll say it. It's not good. For this reason, they are strongly recommending that women limit Tylenol use during pregnancy unless medically necessary. That's, for instance, in cases of extremely high fever, that you feel you can't tough it out, you can't do it. I guess there's that. It's a small number of cases, I think. But if you can't tough it out, if you can't do it, that's what he...
So that's what he has to say. All comments are alleged. I can't confirm or deny if there's issues with Tylenol. That's what they're basically saying. They're also coming out allegedly telling mothers to space out the vaccinations that they get for their children. So they're talking about Tylenol, and they're saying allegedly space out the vaccinations you get for your children. You can listen to them. I'm wondering if they're showing proof studies or if they're going to continue to do studies. But they're continuing to talk about it. This is him at the service, and someone, of course, is consoling him at the memorial service for Charlie Kirk. The loss of a friend is not easy as well. And if you guys did not know, it was mentioned that Charlie Kirk would call the president in regards to sometimes meeting at certain locations to speak. And he'd be like, Charlie, I'm the president. I can't travel 4 hours and 4 hours home. And sometimes he would say yes to Charlie. So, well wishes to Erika. It can't be easy. her losing her husband, it cannot be easy, you guys. So there's that. Okay, so let's continue. Okay, let's continue.
I can say that there are certain groups of people that don't take vaccines and don't take any pills that have no autism.
All comments are alleged.
That have no autism. Does that tell you something? That's currently. Is that a correct statement, by the way?
There are some studies that suggest, with the Amish, for example.
The Amish, yeah. None. See, Bobby wants to be very careful with what he says, and he should, but I'm not so careful with what I say. But you have certain groups, the Amish as an example, they have essentially no autism.
Can't confirm or deny that study.
Immediately, the FDA will be notifying physicians that the use of well, let's see how we say that. Acetaminophen. Is that okay? Which is basically commonly known as Tylenol during pregnancy, can be associated with a very increased risk of autism.
Allegedly.
So taking Tylenol is not good. All right, I'll say it. It's not good.
Allegedly. I can't confirm or deny if there's an issue with Tylenol. I'm not trying to have an issue. I'm wondering if they're going to present the studies in regards to, when I was in the car, I was hearing what they were basically saying. There was a young lady that had a child. Allegedly, the young child had extremely high fever. One day he's running around the office. Everyone can see the child, allegedly. And then a few days later, the mother was, of course, allegedly crying, and they were trying to figure out what was wrong with the mother. And she had said, my child is no longer here. Spiked a temperature after receiving care from, and allegedly the concerns of what they received in a local checkup. I'm being general, I have to be. Local checkup, whether they're stating it was the injection, not sure, or whether they're stating it was the Tylenol. But he'll go over what he was saying about the person that was working for him. He had seen the child before running around, and then unfortunately a few days later, the mom had mentioned the child did not make it. There are other things, I believe. Of course, there's mothers out there. There's other things outside of Tylenol to take. So I can't confirm or deny if that is an issue. But this is the announcement that he made at Charlie Kirk's service. If you guys did not know, the president had mentioned that they were supposed to make an announcement today. So these are his announcements in regards to concerns with autism, in regards to concerns with young children getting their immunization, and in regards to the Tylenol. So we may cover more of this tomorrow. But yeah, he did speak regarding that. Well wishes to Erika in regards to the loss of her husband. Many people are, sending condolences. She did mention that she will take over Turning Point.
We hit some new lows over the weekend.
So a lot of stuff, I have to be careful. Like we said, the Jimmy Kimmel will be back. I'm not going to play that. You guys can go over to Neighborhood Talk to look that up. I have to be careful what I play. U.S. requires TikTok users to download new app. So now they're saying that the U.S. requires TikTok users to download the new app as the algorithm moves under the U.S. control within days. So what will that do to people's subscribers? Will they transfer? Are they going to have to create new accounts? Is everyone going to start back at zero? So I want to play it, but I have to watch the clips I play. Certain clips I can play, certain clips I cannot. So you use this app and listen to what she's basically saying about that. I will listen, and that way tomorrow I will report on what they're saying. But we have been hearing that they've been trying to sell TikTok. And many people had said that there could be concerns about what will happen, what will transpire in the algorithm. So now they're saying people may have to download. And then I think we the Americans, not we, the Americans will hold allegedly a certain percentage, and then I think they'll hold a certain percentage. But I guess this is what they came up with in regards to keeping it within the U.S. So I will listen, and then I'll probably report on that tomorrow. So I don't get struck down. Of course, this is Charlie, probably on the phone speaking with someone. I would play it, but so Jimmy Kimmel late night to return to ABC. So many celebrities did speak out. So let me see if there's anything else. Yeah, there's a lot that Candace is mentioning. I can't confirm or deny what Candace is saying is legit. I don't know how much she knows. I don't know how much she didn't know. I don't know if her and Erika was cool. I don't know if over the years she was still cool with Charlie Kirk. Why not attend the ceremony? Many people, she was saying, they want me to go just to kind of, go over to Candace's show and hear what she had to say about whether she was going to attend or not. Very interesting what she said. So, can't confirm or deny what Candace is saying, true or false. She did not attend, allegedly, the memorial service, though. And I had heard she was calling it out. There's been people that's called out the service. Because I can't confirm or deny if the father of Charlie Kirk spoke up, if Charlie Kirk has brothers, sisters. Some are saying they didn't. I can't confirm or deny. Some of the videos I'm seeing, I didn't see anything that says this is his parents, or this is a brother, sister, or aunt, or uncle. So many people are calling out the event, and maybe the family could not handle speaking. Maybe the family just couldn't do it. Just, let everybody else handle it, his friends, Erika. Maybe the family just could not stomach it. That's a possibility too. So let's continue. So I can't confirm or deny about Candace. I think I'm going to stop there. So, does Erika approve of everything that Candace is saying? How close was Candace? Some of the girls was calling Candace out. That's like, Candace, you acting like, I ain't gonna go there. But okay, everyone, I've been live 3 times today. 3. We've covered hot topics, trending topics. We talked Jimmy Kimmel. We talked Candace Owen. We talked Erika Kirk. We talked Charlie Kirk. We talked about a lot of stuff. So I hope everyone appreciated the show, 3rd show for today. I hope y'all appreciate it. And don't forget, please continue to subscribe. There's about 152 still in the building. Please hit the subscribe button, you guys. If all 152 hit the subscribe button, I will meet my quota for today. It's just one hit, one click, and continue to get the likes up. The likes should have been at 150. Let's get the likes up. Double tap the screen, please, to get the likes up. Sometimes I'll do hot topics, trending topics. I will see what's below and do a show regarding that. But I sometimes have to be careful of the videos that I play because I don't want to get struck down for no one clip. So sometimes I will show you guys where the clip is, and that way you can hear what's going on. So we cover hot topics, trending topics. We've covered a lot. Do not forget to hit the subscribe. If all 120 hit the subscribe, it will be a great day. If you already hit subscribe, thank you. If you already hit like, thank you. I hope you guys enjoyed the show. Earlier today, it was more so what people are talking about in regards to the service, memorial service. And, we talked about, they talked about that in regards to the liver. They have talked about, I have heard that. So people have to be careful of the medications they take. You definitely have to speak with your doctors in regards to what you should take, what you should not take. Consult with your doctor. And they will give you what you should and should not take. And if something should be taken for long periods of time. Yep, if something should be taken up for a long period of time. Like I said, I can't confirm or deny if there's concerns with Tylenol. People have spoke about it, but I can't confirm or deny if there's really been issues. So I'd like to do a story time right now, but I'd rather not. I could, but I'm not going to go into that. But Let me see. So there's about 115 in the building. We've been live for about an hour and 14 minutes. Like I said, in regards to Candace, I can't confirm or deny. If you're just now coming in, it's being reported that Jimmy Kimmel is coming back. If you're just now coming in, if you guys want, I can play one more clip in regards to Jimmy. So that way, do you guys think that his show should be coming back? Let me know in the comments. We're about to play this one. Do you think his show should be coming back? Are they saying, okay, we'll bring you back, and then we may not sign your contract again for another 1 to 2 years? So let's get to it.
As Jimmy Kimmel will be back on. Welcome back in here to Live Now from Fox. I am Andy Mack. We do have some breaking news that we want to get to, as Jimmy Kimmel will be back on air starting on Tuesday. That after ABC and Disney pulled him from the air, suspending him indefinitely for his comments made about the fatal shooting of Charlie Kirk. Back on air, Jimmy Kimmel will return to air. As you can see, this a post from TMZ saying Jimmy Kimmel Live is coming back to ABC after this suspension. So obviously there were lots of conversations we did watch unfold even on Hollywood earlier on today, calling for Jimmy Kimmel to be reinstated, and that is happening right now. And in a statement from Disney, they said, quote, "Last Wednesday, we made the decision to suspend production on the show to avoid further inflaming a tense situation, an emotional moment for our country. It's a decision we made because we felt some of the comments were ill-timed and insensitive. We have spent the last days of thoughtful conversation with Jimmy." So, of course, after those conversations, we reached the decision to return the show on Tuesday. So some big news in terms of this, as the FCC chair, Brendan Carr, said it might have to take the easy way or the hard way in terms of regulating some of those comments by Jimmy Kimmel. But big news that the comedian, the late night talk show host...
Should the team have cut out certain comments and not aired it? Like the video, like the video.
Is back on air starting on Tuesday. So less than a week since he was pulled from the air for those comments about it. We heard lawmakers in Hollywood today comment on what he said, of course, calling on the reinstatement of Jimmy Kimmel. So some big news in terms of that here on Live Now from Fox about that late night show host. As you can see, also saying this from Elizabeth McDonald, saying Jimmy Kimmel is returning to a show tomorrow night. Disney still says his comments were ill-timed and insensitive. But big news and rocky start to the week for Disney in terms of their stock, talking about potentially Disney being boycotted. We'll see if it's somewhat of a reverse, if it is instead not the left only dropping Disney, but now the right for bringing Jimmy Kimmel back. All right, following it all closely here on Live Now from Fox. Let's slide away for another quick 2-minute break.
Like the video, fair use reaction clip.
All right, welcome back in here to Live Now from Fox. I am Andy Mack. Thank you so much for joining us. Coming up here in about 15 minutes or so, we're expected to hear from President Trump alongside HHS Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. talking about a major autism announcement. So just a live picture there in Washington, D.C. at the White House. And sometimes these events, there are a variety of different questions being asked, especially on the international front. Other top headlines, including the most recent breaking news developing story that Jimmy Kimmel will be back on air on ABC in his usual late night talk show slot. And this comes after that suspension by ABC and Disney, as they said it was still ill-timed and insensitive, his comments about the fatal shooting of Charlie Kirk. And I do want to put up just some of this here on Live Now from Fox, a statement from Disney talking about the return of this, saying last Wednesday we made the decision to suspend production on the show to avoid further inflaming the tense situation at an emotional moment for our country. It's a decision we made because we felt some of his comments were ill-timed and insensitive. We have spent the last days having thoughtful conversations with Jimmy, and after those conversations, we reached the decision to return that show coming up on Tuesday.
So it's going to be Tuesday. Like the video, Please hit subscribe, you guys. If all 113 hit subscribe, it'll be an amazing day. Please hit the subscribe button. Let's continue. Fair use. Please hit the subscribe button. Continue to hit the like button. Let's continue. Fair use.
Big news in terms of this, as free speech advocates speaking out about the censorship they felt was taking place with Jimmy Kimmel and some of these comments, saying the lawmakers, including their Brad Sherman in Hollywood, talking about it was not a joke, was not saying anything about Charlie Kirk in particular, saying it was obviously against the president instead. So following this closely here on Live Now from Fox, and obviously a lot of new developments. We'll hopefully hear from our Fox 11 team about those developments here, and we potentially could hear from the president.
So will you be watching Jimmy Kimmel? Let me know in the comments. Will you be watching, yes or no? Are you happy that he's back on air? Do you think they're going to bring him back and may not allegedly give him a new contract? Do you think he'll be able to have a retirement package? Do you think that he'll just take the money and just retire? from this point on. But the employees will have their jobs back to take care of their families. So do you think Jimmy Kimmel and his employees were threatening to sue and they just don't want to deal with the hassle of, and do you think Jimmy was saying, well, if you didn't like it, why not cut it out? Because remember, there's always a delay. So did he read off script? Did he read off script? And what will he say when he returns? Will he just send out condolences? Will he donate? What will he say? Because remember, a lot of times The View has to apologize, that they say from our legal team, we have to make a statement. So do you think he's going to say from our legal team, I have to make a statement? Let me know in the comments. Okay, you guys, copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comments, news reporting, teaching, scholarships and research. Fair use is used permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. All comments are alleged, in our opinion, and for entertainment purposes only. You guys, focus on healthy, safe relationships. Be around people that's loving, kind, and respectful. Watch your surroundings. Be careful of your surroundings. Yes. So, appreciate everyone. Thanks for being here. Third show for today. Check out the show from 9 o'clock this morning. Check out the show from 10 or 11 o'clock. And then I just did this show. 3 shows. And I appreciate you all for being here. We have covered a lot. We have covered a lot today. So thank you all for hitting the subscribe button. Thank you for commenting and being kind. For those that were kind, continue to hit the like button as you guys go out. Continue to hit the like button as you guys exit. Thanks for being here, everyone. Have a great evening. Goodbye. Be blessed.